quarterback, like I mentioned earlier, when we were looking at stats like that, we kind of had two different type of quarterbacks in my 3 years. Our first two, one and one that went to state like that. He was a pocket passer. He didn't like getting hit. He didn't like running. He was 6'4", 210, 6'3", 210. He could have ran people over if he wanted to. Didn't want to. I think it was all up here. I can say that because he was my nephew. I think he was, but he was a great leader and he was a great communicator when it came to it. He read defenses, he could see things like that. His talent to be able to understand what a defense was doing based off of looking at a safety or looking at what we can do to shift it off or modify our offense, our formations, or anything like that, put someone somewhere, was unbelievable. I don't know if you watched the All-Star game on TV or anything like that this year. They talked about the hectic rocket offense, where a lot of that was him. And a lot of that, I trust you. Let's go. I'll give you a formation. I'll manage the clock. I'll manage the time. Manage the down and distance. Go for it. Now, if you got that type of a talented quarterback, and you can allow him or feel comfortable enough for him to be able to do that, that also gets respected back from your quarterback as well. I mean, they trust you. And I did it with this year's too. Granted, he didn't quite have the experience and all that type of stuff, but he could read it. What we like to tell our quarterbacks is that once you're done with your play fakes, your stuff like that, you turn around and you look at your safety. Find out where your safety ended up. If he was a run, was he in on the tackle? Because if he was in on the tackle, we can go long. We can change that. You know, we'll modify it. We'll modify a play to send someone long. We tell them, you know, you're probably thinking, well, why not stay in the whole defense? You don't have to. You got wide receivers that can tell you what your quarterbacks are doing. And that's how we rely on that. We rely on those wide receivers going back there, their mental aspect, to be able to understand what's going on with them on that side. So it really kind of shortens things, keeps it simple for the quarterback, stuff like that. So the mental aspect of being a leader and a communicator of what they see going on in the field and relaying it to you. And then the communication back with your quarterback to be able to allow them to be able to suggest plays. Even if you don't like the fact that you can just say, okay, go ahead, pick a play. If you don't feel comfortable with that, listen to them, process it in your mind, and then put them in that position for them to succeed. So, the size and speed. The last 2 years for us, like I said, we had a big, strong kid, but he didn't like to get hit. He was a pocket passer, he scrambled around, stuff like that, found a wide receiver open someday, somehow. Could throw the ball 60 yards, so you didn't have to worry about it. He could always, all throw most coverages and stuff like that. But this year we had a smaller one, a little bit quicker. He was still our fullback. He's still built, but this kid wanted to run. So we ended up putting in a whole different running scheme with our quarterbacks. We tracked, we powered, we blasted, we super blasted, all of that type of stuff with our quarterback, which accounted for he had like 700 yards on the ground this year as a quarterback as well. I don't think you see that type of numbers unless you're running some form of an option out of there. I had a lot of coaches say that this year's offense was probably one of the toughest that they ever had to defend against in our conference, just based off the fact that now we added a quarterback that could run. You being defense, you add a quarterback that can run, that becomes a nightmare. So if you have that ability where you have that quarterback to be able to do stuff like that, where you can use him in a running game, modify your offense and get him in there, because it works wonders. And I'll be honest, this year our quarterback situation, he graduated. We're getting even smaller. We're getting even quicker. And there's a good chance that our offense is probably going to be based around him, but it's still going to be in the set that we run out of most efficiently. So I'm working on schemes and stuff like that with my offensive line coach right now, where we get a chance to keep things simple yet. For our linemen, we don't want to change anything for them. The backs are kind of still the same, but we're going to do a little bit of a wrinkle now with our quarterback coming in. So, strengths. Can you throw the ball? How far can you throw the ball? Like I said, our state quarterback he could throw the ball 60 yards. Our quarterback last year was not far behind him. He's one of the top baseball prospects in the state as a pitcher. If you got a set of wide receivers that have the talent to be able to run past anyone and a quarterback that can throw it that far, utilize it. I know Alaska uses a lot of passes, I believe, in their schemes. I'm sure you would say the same thing. Modify your your playbook, stuff like that. Like I said, I gave an example that our numbering schemes, our routes and all that are all based off of numbers and not even set plays. So if I have someone that says, if I have that wide receiver or that quarterback say I can get him on a 7, we'll call the formation and we'll change those numbers. And there's not even a set play. So that way we can go on the fly. Play calling, we kind of touched on that. Like I said, a lot of the same wide receiver. In the next slide, you'll see more on the coach. But the communication between your wide receiver, your quarterback, and your coach, where they can make a decision of if they can suggest something, is unbelievable. Trust them. I think in this day and age nowadays, where kids are kind of looking to be more involved, have a stronger voice, it goes a long ways. It really does. I've seen that pick up quite a bit throughout my careers with my quarterbacks. Is if they can give their input, and then they feel good about it too if it works. If you know it ain't gonna work, if they come to the sideline and say, let's do this, and you go, no, it ain't gonna work. That's all right, yeah. But generally, if that type of situation comes to me, I'll modify. If he says I want to do this, I'll put that input into my offense and modify whatever that was going to happen at that time with what he wanted to do. So, and we've been very successful with it. It's been pretty good for us to be able to use that type of an aspect. And the more and more you communicate, more and more you see their play calling and you understand what they're getting, you get a chance to do it. We've actually done it in games where if it's a blowout in the first half, I'll give control over to that quarterback and say, you call it. Let's see what you see. And then he comes to the sideline and he says, I see this, I want to do this, I want to do this. If that's what you see, or that's what one of your coaches sees, you can work on that type of talent and that type of aspect.